So I talked to the state and I told them, I said, how the park is done there, it's on that.
Yes.
It's like, yeah.
Look, again, I want to make sure that's.
Yep, you can leave it like that, Beard. I said you can leave it like that.
Yeah, that's right. Good to meet you. Yeah.
Hi, I'm Sam.
In person.
No, we're still on the sound bar, but it can stay like that.
All right, cool. Yeah, all right.
Will they be able to hear?
Yeah, they can hear. It's just not as clear as it would be with that piece.
What's wrong with the piece?
It's not working for some reason.
Okay.
Just sit over here. I like the plan. I want to see.
I'm ready to go home. It's been a long day.
You got Thursday, you got something for tonight?
Thursday is our, I just want to speak about that. And Commissioner, is the state of the city?
Yep, something there.
Oh, you're KC, right?
Oh,
Okay, I just got a chance to
What you mean?
I hadn't had a
Am I on
chance
the
to
board?
meet you since I appointed y'all. That's
So never mind everybody. I think your office closed.
Yeah, we did. They called and.
You need one more?
Huh?
What, you need one more?
Yeah, no, I'm saying we called everybody, we notified everybody twice.
That's what I'm saying, you need one more, if you don't get it in, you know, you're trying to do business right. I got 2 minutes.
Yeah.
Technical was going.
Oh, yeah.
We got 2 minutes. Yeah, we on business, we standing on business now, we doing what we got to do.
Oh, man.
We not gonna hurt.
Okay, so I got this recording and it's streaming to YouTube. So FYI.
On YouTube. YouTube, man. It's the new
We're
day.
moving forward, this is what everybody gets to see.
What you think
So you got
abandoned
the
on
email, all
business?
right, with all the information? You didn't? So I must not have had your email. I need your email address in here, can you please? Cause we sent everything, we got a whole package, but, just write your email off on the side sheet.
I knew she was gonna come, that's why I said, come on, let's get out of here. So we can move forward on
I
time.
sent the actual tip bag, I sent duties.
Oh, what you got everything?
Hey.
How you doing? Listen.
Maybe two, right here. So I think that's all right, so. Did you send it or you?
I just see.
Connect
been a long time. I was asking about you. Go ahead.
Not everyone.
What's going on? That's right.
You know.
How you doing? All good.
So, just let you know, we did make copies for everybody that has a book.
Oh, okay, cool.
And they have all the documents. Because you weren't here, so I just.
No, I got you.
Okay. You gotta do it first. Oh. We got what you want. Me just me? Okay.
Okay, so just so you know, you guys have to speak louder because it's being projected into the bar.
Yeah, we haven't started yet.
I know, but he can't just give me, so, because the little mic is not working. It's a little mic that sits in the middle. It won't work.
Okay, we have to speak up.
So you have to speak up when you start. That's it. No, I'm about to go. This fire burn is running it. I'm just here to support him. Just letting him know. We're trying to do everything right now.
All right.
We're gonna do a, try to do everything right, little countdown. All right.
Get a logo, doing it right.
Okay. That's what we mean.
Roll call.
I just want to use our pens. Chris, we got a few. What you got going on here?
We got we use technology.
Well, then we're pulling out.
Well, we don't have to.
You said he ain't got a pen.
Right, well, yeah, that's what we need. Well, you need a pen? Y'all need pens, I'll go grab some.
Yeah.
That's fine.
Here, here's one.
I'm gonna go grab a couple.
You need a money?
I'm probably should.
My situation is always having to get the rates. I know what happened, but it doesn't work.
So while you waiting again, just so you all know, State of the City is this Thursday. Commissioners are invited and anyone else that wants to come. Revival Tabernacle, 6 p.m.
Oh, I thought it was that person.
Revival Tabernacle. I did it a bigger, I don't know how many people come, but try to have a big enough space where everybody's not just crowded on those chairs. Sometimes you don't have a lot of. No, we're not doing that. This is strictly vegan.
Oh, thank you, sir. Thank you.
We are running it down, and then the next day at State Tabernacle, that's where they're gonna have a panel about the water. And it'll be some good.
Oh, okay. I asked if that sound like.
Oh, okay, yeah, no, this is just strictly State of City and
I mean, the email that they.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll give them 1 hour. They give them 1 hour.
But I
We're gonna run it down in 1 hour and then we're gonna be gone.
okay.
But I'd like to. When we have events, then I know you got your car with you.
You know what? I'm going to get here with my car. I was trying to I never go with my car.
They put mine on the phone now, so I forget to put them in my purse. And this ain't even the phone, it's on, it's on the other one.
Oh, okay.
I'm good.
Oh, fuck, yeah, we're gonna.
Pardon?
Rob, he's over there.
Yeah, he's been doing a good job.
What you trying to do in there?
We made that choice. We had the same ideas for the city. People have to be election.
All right.
Come together, trying to make it.
Like to call the meeting to order. Tuesday, March 19th at 5:35 p.m. We'll do our roll call. Trevor, I'm sorry,
Sarter.
Starter, okay, Trevor started.
Sarter, like
Sarter.
Yeah.
Yeah, I see that.
Here.
Chris Woodard.
Here.
Leslie Robinson.
Here.
Casey Jackson.
Here.
Gregory G. Lewis here. Victor Thomas. Scotty Boswell. We actually haven't had an actual board meeting yet, because we haven't had the entire board here, so we don't have any minutes to approve. I don't think we have any public comments for the minutes, because we didn't have any minutes. The only old business, I think, we did introductions last meeting that we had, but we do have a new CED director, so we'll just start with old business with introductions. And
You did ask me to take notes last week.
yes, I did, but it wasn't we didn't have an actual forum, so we don't have what.
We do have an agenda.
We had 6
We have 6
people.
people. Okay, well let's
I didn't know there were minutes, I was just like,
no, that's okay. So here, let's review the agenda. I mean, minutes. I thought you were just for the board.
oh, my bad.
That's okay.
You don't need
Was there any actions taken?
No.
There was no action.
Yeah.
I'm a horrific note taker, so I would suggest that if you were here, please review them. I have actually nobody to see other than Mr. Subject and Greg. So I'm sure I left off a lot.
We didn't have.
I wouldn't say it a lot. Yeah, I wouldn't. I would say
Okay.
Yes. You have to hire some,
One of the board members will be a secretary.
but you don't have an official
So yeah, we
It's
can
not right.
ascribe, yes. All right. From the minutes that we have, the only thing is, my last name fell off on you last.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay.
Please, I had.
Oh, man. You wrote it wrong
I know
over here
that.
too.
That's okay.
Actually, a lot of it I spoke out instead of typing.
Yeah. So, we're gonna go with introductions, because there's no action items to approve on the minutes. Let's start with our new CED director, Charles.
All right, Carlton Blackburn, CD Director, City of Highland Park. That,
Let's give a little bit about yourself.
well, I'm a fourth generation Highland Parker. I'm growing up here. I've worked for the city since 2012, in different capacities. I'm on the city council president.
Chris Woodard.
Yeah, they can't
Let me repeat myself. Chris Woodard, I'm former city council president. Been in Highland Park since 1950. Worked at Highland Park Community College and retired for about 20 years. What else? Been on a bunch of boards and commissions in Highland Park. I got 5 children. I got about 17, 18 grandchildren. Well, I'm not finished.
Oh,
Eight, nine, 10, about 5 or 6 great grandchildren. I got one
You got more.
great grandchild.
I know.
Is there anything else? Did I miss anything? That's it. Glad to be here.
I'm Leslie Robinson, and I am a resident of Highland Park since 1999. I'm living in my family's house that's been in our family since '64. And I have been on a couple of boards, including TIFA. I think the first appointment I had was to the canvassing board when we had one of those things. And I'm in a few other public organizations. Nothing comes to the top of my mind right now, but I'm also avid gardener, and me and my partners sell in farmers markets in the summer, primarily in Palmer Park and in Eastern Market on Saturdays. I'm glad to be part of TIFA again.
Thank you. My name is Gregory Jean Lewis. I too was an employee of Highland Park in 2007 to 2013. I've worked in economic development the majority of my career, so roughly almost 20 years. And I live 2 blocks outside of Highland Park. I tried to find a place here, but at that time I couldn't find anything. And y'all have not got rid of me yet.
I'd like you to live more than 2 blocks outside the city.
My name is Casey Jackson, and Greg and I used to be coworkers at Detroit Economic Growth Corporation. I work in real estate development at DEGC as a senior real estate manager. I am a licensed realtor, used to do mortgages, and I'm also a registered commodity trading advisor for that property.
My name is Trevor Sarter. Got ties to Highland Park for the past, I would say, 30 years. I taught at barber school, and I also attended Reggie McKenzie way back in the day. I'm an architect, developer, and consultant. I'm glad to be here on the TIFA.
Beaver Crowd Thomas, I oversee Faith Tabernacle Church on Hamilton and Geneva. Past member of the Planning Zoning Commission, Wayne County Economic Development Corporation, Highland Park Business Association, and I'm just here to serve in whatever capacity I can.
Thank you. Would you like us to address you as Bishop Victor or?
No, just.
What, I mean, in writing.
In writing?
Yeah.
No, you could just put Beaver Carl Thomas.
Okay.
Yeah.
I just want to make sure.
No, I don't need no title.
No, it's okay. No, it's okay. I just want to make sure. Yeah. It's right. It's right. I just want to make sure. We're gonna go to new business. Because we have a new CE director, there's some initiatives and things that he would like us as a TIFA to look at and discuss. So I'm gonna turn the time over to CE director.
Appreciate it. I'm happy to be here. I really like to say that this is a good group. We do some really good things. It's a lot of work ahead of us, and we could really make an impact. But one of the things I'm a big fan of is making sure everything matches, everything in order. We doing what we're supposed to do so we can accomplish what we need to accomplish. So just going through everything, like the bylaws and the act, I just want to fill in some pieces that we may be missing. So that's why I put the operational organization. And I know we haven't been meeting on the regular, but we did email a calendar per the bylaws. We'll be meeting the 3rd Tuesday of the month at 5:30, and just taking care of the business like that. So I'm gonna just kind of go through some of the notes that I took, just kind of bring it to your attention and take action. I need to take action, but one of the first things in the bylaws is the address. We got us down at 15840 Second Avenue. So that kind of needs to be changed. Also, officers, we know the year is July through June. So I was gonna kind of recommend elections in June to take action in July. And just, like I said, it's just the bylaws and the act says that the only really elected official in the board is the chair and the vice chair. The secretary can be hired, treasurer can be, hired, and legal counsel. So those are some of the things that I'd like the board to take notice of and maybe take action on, maybe not today, but let's kind of tighten this stuff up. So at least our paperwork is together as we move forward on some of the projects that we would like to do.
Can we discuss that?
Oh, yeah, absolutely,
Okay.
yeah.
So we definitely have a couple dollars in bank. But I don't think we want to, this is my opinion, and as a board, we can make a decision. We definitely can hire a secretary to do our minutes and things like that. I would suggest one of the board members be the treasurer, because before you got here, before our new mayor, and then I switched everything over so that our dollars are actually a part of the line item for the finance department. So they tend to keep our books for us. And if we need money or a check written, we get it directly from the city then, rather than me and or the vice running around with a checkbook making decisions. So we have good checks and balance. And then get I forgot to grab the bank statements, I apologize. And then monthly, we do get bank statements and they go to our finance director in the city, for the city of Highland Park. So for the most part, unless we have a specific project where there's a need of an accountant or any bookkeeping, you probably can just hire somebody for that particular thing versus having somebody on payroll just to give us a bank statement.
I plan on being active, so.
Okay.
The board's pleasure is.
Yeah.
Because I know the city is doing an audit, and like you say, the budget is part of our budget. So I do have that.
Yeah, so and there's two budgets. So we have roughly around $500,000 in our account for the bank, and then you guys have another about two and a half.
Like 5.7 in the fund balance.
5.7.
I don't know what it is, but it's in the fund balance.
No, I know we have another $500,000 or something, or 250,000 that the city is holding for us. Sorry.
I don't see it, but okay.
Well, yeah. So that's something that we can review. So we do have two accounts. I think back when Blackwell was here, he did some investments with somebody for us, and then also with somebody owed to us before my time.
So that's like, I don't know how that would happen or where that would come from, but those are the things that, I would like to, see together. Like, I know we got books here, we saw other stuff, like, we could put it all at once. Like I say, this is a powerful board. You do have great responsibility, and it is some good things that we can do in the city, especially on the agenda, but like with the downtown strategic plan and getting some of those things. I mean, we plan on doing some RFPs and doing some things in the TIFA area and in the district. So I don't know if we want to keep it how it is or how y'all want to move forward, but it would be good to know.
So is there a way to that we can authenticate these funds? You're speaking of some funds, President Lewis, and the director is speaking of funds, and funds that he can't find or that he doesn't see. And so, because that becomes very important, and I have to make sure because I'm kind of literal too, but when I hear we don't need an accountant, or we don't need a paid person, and then it moves from that statement to the statement that the president and the vice president don't want to run around with the checkbook. I'm not sure if I understand what that means. I don't know that the president or the vice president gets to write checks without the board. And if you do, then we probably need to dig back into the bylaws.
No, you're right.
So
You're absolutely correct.
I am absolutely correct. So I just want to make sure I understand what we're talking about here. And to talk about it, you want me to talk loud. I want you to talk loud too.
Okay.
I want you to speak up.
I was just getting ready to say, I just got a message, they say they can't hear.
Ain't nobody thinking about it. Look,
They have
listen.
to, they have to
Come
hear.
on, come on, Chris, be good, man.
Please and thank you. Please and thank you.
Yeah, please. Listen, you understand what I'm saying? We need to know. If there's money, we need to know what it is to the penny.
Correct.
And so between the director, between us, we need to know, because going forward, being on the board, I gotta know. I gotta know what's going on.
No, definitely, and that's why I brought it up, because we were talking about different things. And we
Yeah,
said we were
it
talking
was
about-
my understanding that the state was gonna be here at the next meeting from what we talked about last time, so that we could see exactly what we're working with. Cause being part of a board, you have a responsibility for how things are handled. And I agree with Brother Woodard. I would like to see just where we are right now at this moment. So if anything comes up about what happened before this month,
I would think that we should have our own treasurer as well, so that position would be responsible for making sure that we have copies of the statements in our files. And
When you say our own treasurer, are you saying someone on the board be the treasurer, right?
Yes.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
so that if any checks have to be written, that would be the person responsible for liaising with the city to get that money. But we have hands on our money at all times. And I would also think that we could have a secretary, even if we do have a scribe, for any duties that come up that is to be performed by our secretary, because I mean, scribe is not really liable to us. Whereas someone that we elect to the board would be reliable, not just to the board, but to the public.
So you're saying someone on the board to be secretary also and have a scribe, okay?
If we need a scribe, we might not, but the officers that we have would be responsible or accountable and responsible to the board and to the public.
So that came up, like I said, because of the bylaws. So, the bylaws speaks to a board may employ and fix the compensation of a secretary. That is, this position need not be filled by a board member. In such case, the secretary will be a staff person with the authority and not an officer of the authority. Same with the treasurer.
But it says may, so we don't have to answer that.
So we'll discuss getting a secretary.
Can I say something? I just want
Not really, but go ahead.
just, I just want to say, whoever it is, whether it's somebody you hire or somebody that sits on the board, they have to be responsible for those minutes getting to the clerk's office on time so that they can, because the clerk is going to let us know you haven't turned in anything. And if those minutes are not turned in on time, they can't be approved on time. That means anything going forward, we can't have the secretary absent if it's not the person who's going to be the scribe. I know things happen, but it has to be someone who's reliable and who can come at every meeting to take whatever minutes there are. Because one of the issues that was talked about quite a bit was no minutes were being turned in, and they're not posted on the website because they have to also be posted. where somebody can view them, because that's a violation of Open Meetings Act. Those minutes have to be turned in, posted, and then also approved by the board. So, and I don't, he's in charge. I'm just saying, make sure whoever it is, if it's someone that's going to sit on the board, that it has to be someone who's going to be here to take minutes if you have a quorum in the meeting is happening.
Okay.
Okay, I'm gonna leave this Christie.
So what we was thinking is, so the meeting is on Tuesday. Oh, it's in here. I have to look at it, but it says like maybe 6 days, something like that after the meeting. So it's in the act, it talks about.
And that is that those
Minutes.
minutes have to be turned into the clerk's office.
Yeah.
But it would have to be like after the meeting, after they're approved,
No,
you know, so what,
I thought it was after they were approved also, but the Open Meetings Act says that the minutes are turned in. And I forget the number of hours after the meeting, but then the minutes are also turned in after they're approved. Because I always thought that we just turned in minutes once the board approved them. If I was reading that correctly. I'm not-
So what it is proposed minutes. Proposed minutes go downstairs. It's proposed minutes.
so we can get some real.
Well, you saying the proposed minutes go down right after the meeting. And then once they're approved at the next meeting, they go back down if there's any amendments to the meeting.
That's
Okay,
exactly it.
we all on the same page on that.
We love you.
I'm leaving.
Okay, thank you.
Just-
No, you ain't gotta go.
No, I was just telling you what's happening though. We gotta go down there.
During this time, of course, only the board members are supposed to be interacting with each other unless we call someone to speak. So, but we do have so I'm sorry, we didn't do introductions, Ron. And so let's have Ron introduce himself and then tell us what he was gonna tell us.
So I'm Ron Liscombe. I'm an attorney with Miller Canfield. I've represented the city for, I guess, about 6 or 7 years now. Before that was my partner, Harold Balger. I only have one daughter, no grandchildren yet. So I work on bond matters and economic development matters for the city. I sent you a few years.
That's not all you do. What else you do?
What else?
Brownfield.
Brownfield, that's right. Yeah, so I represent Brownfield. There's yes, and the TIFA and the city, and I think maybe the DDA or the building authority may be resurrected. So,
And you were gonna say something about.
yeah, certainly. So the Open Meetings Act requires that a public body is required to make proposed minutes available for public inspection within 8 business days after the meeting to which the minutes refer. And the public body shall make approved minutes available for public inspection within 5 business days after the meeting at which they are approved. They are required to be approved at the next succeeding regular meeting of the board. So if you have a special meeting, you don't have the obligation to approve them then, but your next regularly scheduled meeting, you do.
Thank you.
Yeah, sir.
So that was organizational and operations. You wanna go down to B?
Okay, let's talk, before we move to that, let's talk about the agenda. And how does the board wanna handle the agenda? So I'll put this one together, because, like, we get things in and, like, what should be the process on getting the agenda together? Would it be your secretary? Would it come from the department?
Usually we can get it from your department.
Okay.
Cause you guys have a letterhead and everything and it's all printed out and then.
That's not a problem.
Right, and if we have any, depending on what we're doing, when it comes to like sales or anything like that, a person is supposed to come in, fill out your real estate summary sheet and plan if they want to purchase something from us. and then they would hand it to you guys, and you guys would send it to us, and then we'll put it on the agenda for the next meeting.
You need to go ahead.
Well, the CD department does.
Okay.
So not particularly him.
Well, I mean, but you know, when you say we, I consider that our board.
Yeah, we as the
As
board would get it from
The director,
Community Economic Development.
yeah, so he would, the director would put it on the agenda. If he's preparing the agenda, okay. Just wanted to be really clear.
And then the last thing I had under that was the actual, agreement to move forward with.
Yeah, you got that.
Yeah, so
And
no, I was putting that, I put that really under the, organization operational.
oh, okay. It's not, okay.
No, so it's not spelled out, but one of the supplemental pages had what everything under our organization was, but I could next time I could spell it out.
That's okay. So.
Cause this dated the 22nd, I don't, so I just wanna know.
March.
No, 22, I mean, yeah.
So.
Of what month?
No, November 2nd, 22.
November. Oh,
Yeah,
okay.
so I don't know if it ever was.
So I did, yeah,
So back in 22, we created the Brownsville. And so Ron was asked to represent us and work with the city on creating a downtown area, and so that we can have a designation and so that we can move forward with the Brownsville. Probably before November 22. Fast forward, he was doing such a great job representing us, and we were in the process of relinquishing our previous attorney because they actually got disbarred and dismissed. But we actually separated from them way before then because of the discrepancies that we've had with them. And then we wanted to move forward with Ron representing the TIFA and the Brownsville, but we never got to it because of different things. So that's why it's stated.
So when do we take action, or are we taking action, you know?
Yeah, we can take action.
Well, we need to read it before we take action.
Oh,
Yeah.
I said, yeah, so I'll make sure everybody get it.
Yeah, I'm saying.
Take no action, but I read it.
Yeah, so we definitely,
I remember you saying, I sent it out.
Yeah, that's okay.
Okay.
so we can read it. I mean, technically, the board already had approved it, the previous board, but we can, since we have a new board and we haven't signed it yet, we definitely can give it to everybody and have them read it. But Ron definitely, I think he has a couple things to say about it.
yeah, so the basic, I did update the letter from the 2022 version, just to add in a disclaimer. There was a new statute that came into effect this year that doesn't directly affect you, but we have to include it in all our engagement letters regarding, it's called the Corporate Transparency Act. It's not applicable, but we just include it because we have to say, we're not doing this for you. So everyone's clear. But the price proposal, everything else is the same from 2022. So the terms are fairly, straightforward.
I'm sorry, you're saying something this agreement has already changed?
Do we have
At
an
the state,
updated
at the state.
That's the
updated one?
Yeah.
Oh,
I'll make copies and before we leave today, I'll make sure everybody have a copy of
What
it.
is it?
And this is,
Scope of engagement.
my engagement letter.
and you did email me that 17 days, the state document talking about, right, from the act.
Yeah, I
Which you just
sent the
emailed.
revised,
Yeah.
so the Tax Increment Finance Act used to be a standalone statute. In 2018, the state recodified and put all of the tax increment financing statutes other than the Brunfield statute into a single bill. So I sent Carlton the excerpt of the TIFA portion of the statute. There are general provisions and some reporting requirements that I didn't provide, but they're applicable as well. So I'll work with Carlton, getting him up to speed on all of that. It's fairly straightforward stuff. I just want to make sure he's aware of it.
okay, I'm sorry for so many questions. You said the recording requirements have changed?
There are just reporting requirements.
Reporting.
Reporting.
Oh, I thought you said recording.
No. Yeah, reporting requirements for different tax increment authorities to do, provide to the state annually, if applicable. Yeah, so it's not everyone has to provide a report because they may not have any triggering activities. For lack of a better word.
Yeah, and so just to recap, Ron already represents us as a Brownsfield. We are the Brownfield Authority also. And so we're just, this agreement is so that he can also represent us because we don't have an attorney for TIFA. All right. Okay,
Can I ask one more thing? So can we go over this agreement, as a group at our next meeting to make sure that we all
Yeah,
understand?
right, like I said, I'm gonna make a
Right.
copy of it,
Yeah.
so everybody can have it.
just email this all.
I emailed it, but
Okay.
would you want a copy, or you want an email?
Email
Can I see it?
Yeah,
Email, please.
okay, so,
But you know, I'd just like to make sure we go
That's
over it
fine.
so that we
Yeah,
all have the same
absolutely.
understanding.
yeah,
To us?
And you said you did or you will?
I did. Well, I had Kalinda
Oh, okay.
She sent
to send all this information. That's why I was
Sorry
like,
about that.
yeah, no, this was,
So, yeah, I'll just.
yeah, all the attachments.
Okay, okay.
Oh,
There were a bunch of attachments.
What's your name?
So
Our what?
it was the one that she sent Wednesday. It's not-
Our what?
It's not, I'll make sure, I'll make sure you get email.
So, the next agenda item is B, project review of proposal development at 14,000 Woodward Avenue, which was emailed to everyone.
Yeah, she made a copy, yeah, she
I was
got-
like, my
she got
presentation may
copies.
be a little bit different because it goes into a little bit more of the brownfield related matters, but today I want to just stick to the high level overview of the project. That way you've got some of the brownfield information when we get to that point. But my name is Samantha Marriott. I am the vice president of, what was that?
No,
Is this a brownfield or a TIFA?
This
So
is for the TIFA board. We will be coming before the
It's coming
brownfield
back.
board at a later date.
right now, it's like, we got it, yeah.
Yes,
No,
this is, it includes some
that's why I
brownfield
told her
related
just
matters.
overview, no, we're not going into the brownfield. This is the first step.
Yes,
We have to
first
get
step
this.
one. Step one. My name is Samantha Marius. I'm the Vice President of Economic Development Services with AKT Peerless. Primarily, AKT Peerless is an environmental due diligence and consulting agency. However, with contaminated sites, there are opportunities for incentives, and so I assist with the development of incentives. Okay, do you mind if I stand and kind of walk through?
Yeah.
Okay. So I'm representing Carlo Liberti, who is the interested party in purchasing this project. We've been working with him since 2021 on this. We've gone through, worked with Dominic Romano from the MEDC to discuss different community revitalization program dollars that may be available. Brownfield TIF with support from MEDC, as well as we went through 2 rounds of applying for the MEDC revitalization and placemaking dollars. Unfortunately, unsuccessful in that endeavor. Perhaps there may be around 3, so we're not counting that out just yet. But we've been trying to be extremely creative with this project. Carlo has created partnerships throughout the community, as well as with getting the project to tie into the Joe Louis Greenway. So one of the significant challenges with this site is, aside from its condition, is bringing the site up to a standard in which he can bring tenants through there to sell the space. It is the intention that the first floor will be an event community engagement space that ties in to the Joe Louis Greenway with electric vehicle charging stations, bringing back that grand staircase that goes through the building that you'll see in those current site conditions, and eventually rehabbing the floors 2 through 4 to be some sort of commercial, maybe office, educational space. We also have discussed and are working with his attorneys as well as Ford's attorneys. There is a restrictive deed, as there are on most old automotive manufacturing owned facilities, that they may not be used for residential purposes. We think this would be an awesome space for some residential, so we're not, again, giving up hope on forward, maybe lifting the restrictive deed, if we comply with what Eagle is been working on with us. So we're not writing that off just yet, but I think the path of least resistance for the time being is some sort of commercial mixed use opportunity. As you can see, the building is extremely dilapidated. We wanted to come just give you an idea, and it's the same. It's always good when you have similarities between boards. So eventually there will be a brownfield request. The biggest concern in that building is the lead and asbestos that's in there and the interior site demolition, just to bring it up to a standard where we can bring clients and tenants through there. We are also working with the Port Authority for some additional funding for some of these cleanup activities. So we're, as well as some potential Eagle grant loan dollars. So here to present the project really in concept, because this is in the city's TIFA district. There will need to eventually be, there's a lot of moving pieces legally speaking of, because it's within the TIFA district, there will eventually be an interlocal agreement if brownfield is allowed to be used. That would allow for the transfer of tax increment revenue dollars from the TIFA to the Brownfield Redevelopment Authority to pay for eligible activity expenses. And as we work through kind of these brownfield figures, we'll refine costs as we go through. So I'm happy to answer any questions. I don't know too much about the capital stack piece. I know, Carlo.
So I just real quick, I just wanted to introduce this to the board.
Okay.
Like I said, we're in the very beginning stages. But I definitely wanted to get it introduced so we continue to move on and move through it. So a lot of the other information, will come, but I definitely needed to just introduce it.
Can you give us background on the
Excuse me. Point of information. You just made a statement about capital or something. Could you say that again? Could you reiterate your question, Casey?
Oh, I was looking for the financials. So I underwrite and I'm looking for the meat and potatoes of the deal to understand how it's put together and if it's actually feasible. So that's what I was asking. But what he's saying is that that's going to be forthcoming. This was just an introduction. So I'm trying to understand how they're going to finance it and if it actually works.
That's what he said.
I just wanted to see what was included in the financing.
Did you get an answer?
No, she said it's coming.
We've got some pro formas that we worked on for the revitalization placemaking program.
And that's why I interjected.
Right.
I interjected this. I just wanted to get it introduced.
Yeah,
and then
It's
move
gonna be,
forward.
this is gonna be other discussions and stuff.
I'll do one track at a time.
But we will present all of that as we move forward throughout the incentives.
Let's just have it.
two things. Mayor.
Oh, I can do that though, right?
Yeah.
He's got rules for you.
I won't be coming back.
I thought you was pointing that way. I thought you was.
No,
Still no man. Outside this table. So, what amendment do we have of the owner? Is this the same owner that was back in 22 that put some money down on the building and was supposed to get it up to a standard of
I believe so. So Carlo has had a purchase agreement on the property for about 2 years, and money keeps going hard. He keeps putting money in escrow, and with the brownfield plan and potential incentives, we're playing kind of a chicken and egg game to move forward closing on the property. They want to see the brownfield in place. However, so I think what we're going to need to work on is some sort of memorandum of understanding so he can move forward with closing on the property prior to. But that's why we wanted to come here, present the idea, and make sure that we're all good in concept moving forward.
And between the two of you, can someone give the board a background of the gentleman? If there's no personal who?
And what has he done?
Yeah.
He's been involved in a couple other real estate projects in Detroit. I'm not familiar with all of them, unfortunately, but I will get a bio and send that over to this group here. Unfortunately, he had a conflicting event this evening.
And so from my understanding, he's interested in, he's gonna close on the property, and what's the sale price? Is it 225 or 250?
I don't know. I'll find out.
Okay. And then just for the board to know, the TIF actually owns 18% of that bill. So unfortunately, that don't come to the city. And basically, this proposal is first part white boxing, well, remediating and then white boxing
Yeah,
to potentially get tenants
with a focus on the event space at first.
on the first floor
Yep.
event space. And then you guys are working on having the Ford family, is it relinquished? Or
Release, yeah.
release
the deed
the
restriction,
deed
yeah.
restriction on the property. And have you already had that conversation or? you-
The attorneys are having that conversation.
Okay.
Yep.
So what's white box?
Basically rough plumbing, rough electric, clean, like drywall, just making it safe.
Clean up.
Yeah, just making it safe to enter in and out. And it was somewhat appealing to a person who's on the property.
They build it out.
And then they build it out.
Right.
I think there's gonna be a lot more opportunity through public engagement on this site with respect to it going through this board, brownfield, planning commission, et cetera. So there'll be a lot of opportunity to engage and discuss about the future of the site.
So the question was, why wasn't it an RFP? That's what Casey just asked, I'm sorry.
No.
And for years they tried to, well, initially it was supposed to be a museum slash
Welcome center.
welcome center slash the city. Highland Park was supposed to move in there and that was gonna be our,
I never heard that.
that was 20, it was before you started, it was 2007 and stuff.
Those
What
were
was the
just,
last
those were
RFP?
just conversations.
But those were conversations
That was just
that-
conversation.
So it was all this, it was gonna be a museum for Henry Ford, and so none of that happened. They tried to RFP it,
When?
I wanna say early 2000, mid
So
2000.
nothing has been done recently.
No, and then
No,
the
not at
pandemic,
all.
the pandemic.
It was something like that stuff was Saturday, way back then.
But,
I remember when RFP was out.
but we had interest, people came, didn't
The
wanna
city,
do
did-
it.
I'm sorry, the city didn't do an RFP.
No, what were they?
It was Woodward Avenue did
Yeah,
the
Right,
RFP.
yeah, we're having, right. They own the major.
so they own the majority of it.
So I'm just curious, Samantha, as it relates to the Ford family and trying to get something out of the Ford family. You know, they left here in the forties. Haven't been interested since then. They had no mention in any of their literature about their 100th anniversary, about Highland Park and the Ford plant, which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Absolutely nothing.
Wow.
And I've heard people over the years from time to time say that they got a connection with the Ford family. They're gonna talk to the Ford family about the Ford building, and they're gonna ask them if they can put money into the building and do this and do that. Nothing's come out of it, and I mumbled under my breath a few minutes ago, I said, good luck. But you know, I mean, it's a task.
Oh, yeah.
You know, whoever you're talking to, in the family, what's the last Ford's guy's name? That was the president of the Ford Motor Company, chairman. What's his name? His name was Ford. What's his name? He's still around. He's still doing something with the company, but, you know, good luck with that.
Yeah, we've, not in this site in particular, but other sites that we've worked on, we've tried to get the, restrictive deeds lifted and have not been successful, so we're gonna keep pushing, but
What is the restriction? I
No.
know.
that you can't do any residential.
No, brother.
Oh.
Which then, plays into, which I'm sure you're familiar with, that sort of tie bars CRP dollars
That was Henry's.
to that piece, and that's, yeah, that's the challenge. That's what the MEDC would like to see.
Yeah, what was beyond that, what was the feedback from Dominic about the?
He's extremely supportive of the project. For those who don't know, Dominic Romano is the community assistance team specialist with the MEDC. He is extremely supportive of the project. He said in a lot of meetings with us when we were, talking about RAP, he helped us get the pro forma for that. So he really wants to see this done. So
I guess what's your, you can't give an anticipated timeline, but what's the target, I guess, to get some sort of answer regarding the deed restriction? Because if you can't get that lifted, this doesn't happen.
The
right?
deal doesn't have, that's right.
the deal happens in a potentially different way in the office educational space.
So what's the timeline for that? Because this could go on and on and on.
I think Carla will probably make a decision within 2024 about what the direction is. But there's a potential, if it is office one day, maybe it may be converted. So we've worked in a couple different office to multifamily conversion projects, so
So you're here with us today.
yes.
Is there still any exposure for Woodward Avenue Action Association? I mean, 18%. So what happened to the other percentage? Is Woodward Avenue Action Association,
They own the rest of it.
they own the rest of it? So you're having this conversation with them as well?
I am not the
Well,
developer,
The
maybe,
developer
yes,
is, that's what I
yes.
mean.
Yes.
Thank you.
I appreciate your time. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We got 10 minutes.
Woodward Avenue Action is defunct, who's heading it up in this defunct state?
They're not defunct.
Great question.
They're not defunct.
So I think the CD director of Rural, or is the person, is the president of?
Yeah, but he's just a titular head of the defunct Woodward Avenue Action Association.
Well, we got 9 minutes. And no one has.
We got 9 minutes.
Yeah, this is an hour meeting. So
An hour meeting. I want to make a proposal. I'll make a resolution. I don't know about this 1 hour restriction thing, because I think we got a lot of things to discuss here. I'd like to make a motion that we eliminate that 1 hour timeline so that we can thoroughly discuss the things that we need to discuss. That's a motion on the floor.
So, how long,
Well, I mean, if anybody has anything to discuss about it.
I think the discussion would be, does anyone have any discussion?
I concur with Chris. I mean, you know, it's, cause like I say, I got some things that's gonna be coming, and, you know, I just think that hour, you know, I understand being, you know, the time and stuff, but I don't wanna hold it to an hour if we like in a good discussion about some really projects that we, you know, wanna work through.
I agree, but I think also we need to stay focused, stay on topic. No sidebar, no bringing other things in, so that we can stay on topic and focus on whatever task it is. We can get long-winded and that we can sit here.
That's the responsibility of the chair.
Okay.
Make that happen during the course of the meeting.
So how long do we want to look at?
I don't think it should be a
If
time.
they're both on the floor, so you see it from an hour.
So what, that's what I'm saying.
No, don't, like, most meetings don't, I didn't even know that there's a time limit
Right.
on it.
Yeah, that's not part of the vote, so you want to eliminate the hour limitation.
When did that go into effect? Is it part of the, like, what, it was just a?
I don't know, I'm just coming.
That was-
No, me too, that's what I'm just, I didn't know it was, I didn't know.
That was great.
Oh, okay, I didn't know a time limit was set.
Yeah. Well, we
You should have a limit.
You know,
So I'm,
in
let
most-
me be, so I'm gonna just kind of repeat, I got some stuff coming, okay, and, you know,
you know,
It's gonna take more than an hour.
it's gonna take more,
and I think that's one of the reasons why we need to kind of lift an hour restriction, because we can be focused for more than an hour on particular issues and subjects. So, but I think, you know, I think the other thing for us, maybe we should understand is that this body, like most bodies, you know, we speak through our actions, we speak through our minutes, you know, and so just want to, having been on a bunch of boards and commissions and stuff, I just want to make sure that everything is still the same as it was 30 years, 40 years ago when I started. So, you know, I mean, so we speak through our actions and our resolutions and things like that. We don't, there's no autonomous kind of stuff going on here. And I think restriction, I wouldn't put a restriction on it, Gregoire, but if you need a restriction, you know, I could go for a 2 hour limit with exceptions.
But, you know, I'm not a fan of long meetings, but the business being handled. No, but I'm with you though.
I'm not saying every time.
Right.
I don't think it'd be a requirement that we have to be here 2 hours.
Right.
In case we need to.
I just, like I said, you know, it may be come a time, a couple of meetings that might go a little low. You know,
Just to have.
the way I'm looking to knock this out.
I don't think it's necessary to set a cap, because I think we all know if we run through the agenda, we've run through the agenda. If it's done, it's done. If it's not, it's not.
And like he said, this is the chair. Calls for the vote.
Yeah, I'd like to call for a vote. All those who want to lift the 1 hour restriction. That seems to be open.
I'm okay with it, man. You know, I'm
So I just want to make sure it's unanimous.
I'm somewhat of a wordsmith, you know, like Bishop here. We're gonna lift something that really don't exist, except as a.
Courtesy to the members.
You know, it's like somebody tried to lift me from a contract that I really didn't have. They said,
See, that's the.
right.
Come on, get them back.
Yeah, we got it.
Come on, chair. Get them back. Get them back.
Unanimous vote.
All right.
I think she knows you.
Thank you.
The next item is downtown strategic plan review and discussion.
So has everyone had a chance to look at the tile style? Okay, so I'll make sure you get a copy of it. It is on the city website, but I think it was done in 2017. So the community economic development, yeah, there you go, department will be working off of that. And if changes need to be made, I want to make them official. But one of the doesn't. Like I said, we got some.
Where's this at on the website? You said that?
But I email it
Okay.
also.
Is this typical for the planning commission?
Well, see, the downtown strategic plan pretty much. We have a master plan too. This came first. This came in 17. The city spent a lot of money on this. So and this was good information in it, but it's some actions that need to be taken. And you all through it. It's all through it. But so some, just the discussion part of it is a couple of things that will be coming to you is some residential developments on Pasadena on that first block, which is part of the plan. On one side of the street is single family, other side multi-family. So those kind of things are coming.
Is the city, is it done by the city or private developers?
We want to RFP. We want to do some RFPs. So before we do that, before we go out, we want to make sure the board taking a look, putting the input, because it is a TIFA. So we want to make sure everything matches with the strategic plan and everybody on the board understands it and have their input. So when we go out, everybody is to support how we go out.
So the RFP did not go out?
Oh, not even close. No, not even close. No. So these are it's just on there. Like all this, just to let you know, this stuff is gonna be coming hot and heavy, but this is our first. I would never do you like that, Ms. Roberts. I've never completed it. These are just introductions. No, these are just introductions of like my intent as the CD director is to really get into this with the TIFA board and some of the things, because some of the stuff is a mood anyway, because it just is, things have changed. So we just want to get into it.
I think we should check with Ron, once we approve the agreement, if we approve the agreement. Because it might be, so before the pandemic, we were looking at becoming a Main Street recipient and applying to become a part of Main Street nationally. And then doing some projects as a TIF, because I think those are some of the things that we can do.
Yeah.
And because of the TIF, we can't do housing. So to make it more affordable, and we'll double check and see if that's something that we can do, and then partner with a developer, because then we can get funding, free money, basically, towards the project versus trying to create a property value here, and then basically hoping that somebody can get something done in the city with all the things that are going on around. Yeah. So that might be something that we should look at.
When you say affordable, are you talking about affordable for developers or affordable for people to live in?
Both. Both. Because if the developer builds it and it's above what is the norm around here, for a developer, he's gonna be upside down. But for an example, on 6 Mile Livernois, Invest Detroit built out a whole white box, then built out a whole bunch of spaces, and they spent between 800 to 900,000. When they did the appraisals on those properties, down your price for like 300,000 to 400,000. So they're okay to take a loss. Our developers are not. So we're okay to take a loss. The private developer is, because we're gonna get tax revenue, and then we're also gonna get tips dollars from the taxes. So it makes more sense for us to do it versus a private developer. So,
Has TIFA done it, housing projects in the past here?
no, we partnered years ago, probably in the 60s, what's that? How Manchester Place, what year was that?
That was in
Manchester.
2008.
In the 80s. And I'm gonna tell you, if we can get along like that, that's the best time.
Unbelievable.
Ain't nobody pay that.
I'll go on record and say over and over, I am not for affordable housing on Woodwood.
I'm not either, but I mean.
Let's hear more.
Because this is the most expensive avenue probably in the state. And in pretty much all of the cities, except for a little section of Detroit, and they have a lot more Woodward to work with than we do. They're extremely valuable residential and decided areas. And I don't think we should have to turn that into low income housing.
But there's a difference between
Yeah.
low income and affordable.
That's two
So I
different
think
things.
you can have elements of affordable into the bigger project. I don't think it all has to be, but there's a big difference.
You wanna have a mix.
Yeah.
You wanna have a mix of everybody on the street, because that's just how you build.
But,
Yeah.
but, to her point, I'm just saying, like, is eventually we're going to come off that mindset, right?
Cool. Oh,
No, I'm just saying, like, as a whole, if we really want to grow, because we got to attract more different people with different tax brackets also, so.
Yeah,
that's
we have
just-
that type of property and the parts of Hyde Park.
That's just, but again, we on the ground floor. Because
I mean, houses, but,
So you want us to review?
the street plan, they're just, like I say,
Yes.
yeah, I'll send it to you electronically. Thank you.
Okay,
I'll be in
well,
touch.
excuse me?
No, Sam was saying that.
Sam, Amanda, hey, you.
Thank you.
Thank you all. I do have a question just regarding it. So I know you said this is just the beginning. Do you anticipate, I guess, it coming back?
Yeah, we gotta, I don't know. I don't have an answer for you, because there's so many, like you said, so many moving parts with the city owning 18%, that we gotta bring a man on so we get to talking about some of those things with our legal department. So I don't really have an answer, but I just wanted to introduce it to let you know that this is, out there. Cause it's been on my desk for a minute, so I'm just doing, hey, just know that this is coming, possibly.
So I just want to go back and revisit this Pasadena conversation and the housing. Because you said Pasadena is not in the TIFA.
The first block is.
Yeah.
First block is.
Where is it? It's not on
To
this map.
second.
It's not on this map.
Yeah.
No, it's not. I'm looking at the map. And I'm looking at Pasadena.
It's right here.
Right where?
The first block in Pasadena.
Don't draw on my map.
This is Pasadena
First block in the red to
That's
the left.
Pasadena, both
Let me see.
sides.
Put your magnet.
See it right here? This might be a little bit better, Chris. So it's right here.
That red line goes to Alice.
Hold up, bro. Try to help, man. With a better view.
Is that the map from the website?
Oh, I see it. Okay,
No,
but
this
That's
is,
right from the.
yeah, oh,
Yeah.
man.
I'll
Yeah,
need
here.
one of those.
I got it. So
This
this is the piece that's to the alley.
No, it goes to second.
Yeah, no, yes, to the alley, second, to the alley
Right.
behind second, I mean,
Right.
behind, Pasadena.
Right.
Yeah, just to the alley.
Yeah, to the alley.
Just to the T alley.
No,
on the
It'll
south
go from
side of
Second
Pasadena.
to the alley.
So it goes from
I'm sorry,
Woodward to Second,
Woodward to Second.
east and west alleys of Pasadena. East, no, north and south alley of Pasadena. In that same vein, Ron and I had a discussion.
It ain't the full, but right here, see?
You remember what I'm talking about, Ron?
With the Manchester or?
No, just future development.
Well, sure, if it ain't on there, I ain't gonna talk to y'all about it.
Blood
Okay, to the TIFA, no problem. Scratch it.
From John R. to just past the alley.
It goes to the
I
TIFA.
don't know about that was the second, hey.
I mean, you know, I was in on this when we did this. too.
Yeah, shame on me for.
Sorry. I mean, I was in on it. You know. Told you I was
But this, okay, but the strategic plan, that's where I got confused, because they
That's all
got it to second
Okay.
with the development. So,
That's why I asked. I just wanted to
no, thank you, sir.
make sure. You know, because I was,
It was always thought it's been done there too.
Yeah.
So since we're just talking about downtown strategic planning, I know it's not us, but could you talk about future developments and the things that because of the brownfield connections with the TIFA?
Yeah,
Doing industrial,
fresh my memory.
like doing industrial, getting more industrial. groups.
Yeah. So, I mean, one of the benefits that Highland Park has is you're in a very good location. And there's a lot of land that can be, redeveloped. So I think, one issue for the city to decide is what the mix of development should look like. You've got, because of your location on freeways, it's good for industrial type stuff, but you have to really think through that because there's a lot of environmental issues and everything that comes with that. So, you might want to just kind of think through, where is a good idea for the housing to go, for the commercial space to go. I think Member Robinson, correct, was speaking about, taking advantage of the Woodward real estate. Maybe that's, more commercial or market rate housing with some affordable housing components. But, just identifying the areas of the city where you think it's good for industrial, where you think it's good for commercial. We did the Means Group site over just off Davison and the Lodge. So that sort of development is the city's really ripe for. And, particularly because you're logistically just so close to everything and have access to the freeway. So once you kind of have a vision for that, we can, look and certainly rely on, the experts in terms of available money out there, different, programs with different funding. And I know the state has a strong interest in helping the city out. So, I would like to see at some point, maybe it's kind of a dedicated person through MEDC or something who can kind of be, the point person for Highland Park, to help guide things through the state level approvals. And so I think just kind of think through the vision, and then we can start to identify an actionable plan. I think it should be done in totality, not piecemeal projects here and there.
you're right. So exactly.
Yeah, that's what I was saying.
The other thing I'd like to put back out for us to consider is we, at one point, we're trying to hire a grant writer that could do federal grants for us. Mr. Claiborne, would your department do that, or should we do something like that?
I would recommend the TIFA hire someone to do that. Yeah, my department is pretty tight. When we first started, we had all that, but
That was a long time ago.
So I understand that vision. Well, I'm just have a concern as you mentioned the means group, and so I kind of almost zoned you out. But the meetings group has been established for almost a year or more. I don't know if they have any tenants. They don't. Do you know? They don't. So as it relates to strategic planning, what happened in that area was it took about 40 years or so, but it was this displacement of about 3,500 to 5,000 people in that area between Davidson and Oakland and Hamilton and the West City limit. To go in to create this, let's do what Stuart Franco did. Let's build it to attract, which is what Stuart did. But Stuart already knew some of the folks he was going to put in there. These guys have built a place and they don't have anybody in there.
I mean,
So I hear you,
Yeah.
but I believe Eric Means did.
yeah.
So he passed before it was done. And I believe he had
Some people.
yes, he did. Yes, he had people in mind. That's what he was building it for.
And the
But when he
pandemic
passed, that was his relationship.
So
So
the legacy just passed with him then.
Yeah,
Well,
the
it
relationship.
it wasn't-
But even after
Yeah.
that, when his wife stepped up, they lost a child recently.
Yeah,
So
so
it's
it
a
was,
lot going on.
it was other
behind the
stuff.
scenes
It
that-
wasn't just a failure.
Yeah,
Go
but
ahead.
hold on, Ron, let's say something quick.
So the Ashley Capital, who was the financing arm for development, they completed the project. They submitted a request for reimbursement under the reimbursement agreement for, the tax revenues as they start to flow. I think they've already started flowing, actually, the property taxes. He did indicate at the time that, this was a few months ago, that, the auto strike put a delay on them being able to secure a tenant. And, I think in conjunction with, Eric's passing, there's been, some issues that have come up that were maybe not necessarily foreseeable, but I'm working through the review of their reimbursement request now for the brownfield.
Ryan, I hear you. I don't know what you're talking about.
Okay.
Where are they going? Who's going to reimburse them? Where are they going to get money from?
Well, they're paying taxes.
Yeah.
They're paying taxes and the reimbursement. Basically, they pay the taxes and then they get reimbursed for the taxes.
Right, they pay the cost up front and then.
They're paying us taxes. We're paying them back.
Yeah, for the expenses that they incurred to clean up the site to build it.
That doesn't come from my understanding is it doesn't come from Highland Park. It comes from through the state or federal.
There are different components of the tax capture. So part of it is city tax revenues. And if I recall correctly, the base taxable value was, I think it was 0, because I think a lot of it was public land already. There were some components that were privately owned that they acquired from private owners, but basically the way tax increment financing works, if I don't want to presume you know or don't know. So basically you have a base taxable value prior to the construction of a new development. And so that base value, whatever it is, the property taxes generated as a result of that base taxable value keeps flowing to the taxing jurisdictions. But the incremental increase in the valuation of the property as a result of new development is captured and is used to pay a portion of the development costs.
Okay, I kind of get that.
Yeah. So, and the theory is that you've got your base value. If it weren't for the development, you would never realize the new growth and taxable value. One thing that we did look at closely with that was the potential for new jobs and income tax revenue coming into the city. And that's really the rub right now, is that because it's not rented out or leased out, there's no income tax revenue that's being generated. So that's kind of the rub right now.
That's, yeah, that is. Go ahead.
Yeah. So that was the means group. That's kind of where things stand right now. The money is flowing. One issue that I do need to work with the city on is with the interim treasurer. Though someone was appointed last night, I believe.
She's not bothered.
Okay, so we just need to look at where that money, make sure that the money's going to the right people.
I mean, it's the truth. It's definitely true.
Yeah.
Thank you for that. But I got a follow-up question. And the question is, it's kind of outside of Highland.
Mhm.
I just want to make sure I understand. So I'm traveling through Royal Oak, 11 Mile in Maine,
Mhm.
all the way to 14, well, not all the way to 14 Mile Road,
Mhm.
but at 11 Mile in Maine. They're just building all of these 10, 12, 15-story affordable houses. Do you know, is it affordable? It ain't low income. It's affordable housing.
So,
and the reason I'm asking is, Eric Means was okay with me. I knew Eric Means a little bit. I met him because I was on council at the time. But the city and the project just didn't seem like it was the best fit for us at the time. And it's kind of proven itself to me right now. Whereas we could have attracted residents into this place and probably been doing a lot better as it relates to revenue, the production of revenue.
no, I understand. I think the challenge was that no one was willing to come in and spend the money to build the housing.
Yeah. And then probably weren't gonna praise for what they need to praise to after they built the house.
I mean, one idea, I think when, we talked earlier about, kind of developing your plan for what you'd like to see is at that point, what you can do is do like an RFI, a request for information from potential developers and say, this is the area we'd like to do housing. Give us your ideas for this, and this is your, we want to put whatever in this area. And then just, because the way these things work is that the developers just get an idea and then they kind of work through and they bring the ideas to you, but there's not necessarily a cohesive plan to the broader development picture.
Go ahead, you were saying something else. Saying something about that.
We don't have any housing inside of TIFA, so if we can move forward with the agenda. And then, y'all can have a conversation about it.
That works.
All right, thank you.
It was one more new item.
Okay.
Oh, yeah, so there is one piece, I'm sorry. I'm sorry to be talking so much. That for the next board meeting, I am gonna ask your approval on some things. So as Gregoire knows, the Manchester Place Apartments, the owner, wants to do a rehabilitation of the property. And they want to put about $80,000 into each unit
Each unit.
Each unit.
Sorry. Didn't they just get some money recently?
Oh, I have it. I'll have to. I have a write-up that I have. I can tell you the long sordid tale of what we have been doing on this. But basically what's happened is, and when the development was built in the 80s, there were several different components to the capital stack as is customary. So at the top, you had MISTA financing, and then you had subordinate financing that consisted of a loan from all these subcomponents were all funded by a HUD, Urban Development Action Grant, to the city. That was about $5 million. So that was routed through the TIFA. There was a TIFA mortgage of about $3.2 million. I think that was the TIFA. No, that may have been HP Devco. So HP Devco had a loan from HUD, they got the money, they lent it to the developer, they had a mortgage on the property. That was about 3.2 million. There was $1 million TIFA loan to the developer, and then a 560 some thousand dollar kind of operating cash flow loan, also from the TIFA to the developer. I think on your fund balance, on your balance sheet, the fund balance, I think is receivable on those loans. Here's what happened. So the notes for those loans are lost. The way that they were set up, the mortgage is recorded, but we don't have the notes. So we don't know the repayment terms, etc. Well, we know some. So basically the mortgages on the subordinate debt was supposed to be paid back from excess cash flow every year, which there never has been any excess cash flow. There is a balloon payment at the end of the mortgage, but there's no money. I mean, the property is worth less than what's owed. So what they're doing right now is that
the property is not as.
It is not, its appraised value is less than what's owed. So they are in the process of securing new funding from MISTA for the rehabilitation. Okay. I think it's about 17 million if I'm not mistaken. But I'll have to check. I'll have to double check that. And what they proposed is that in lieu of forgiving $5 million that they say they can't pay back, and we can't really prove that they owe, they're going to pay $225,000 to TIFA. Okay, we were able to
From how much? From 5 million to 200?
225,000.
1.5 million.
So
Less than our money.
it was never really expected to be paid back, if that makes sense.
Big deal.
Yeah, I mean, right. So we were able to go all the way to Washington, D.C. to get HUD's approval of the forgiveness of the HUD loans. And we reconstituted the HP Devco board and got them to approve the sale of its mortgage to the TIFA, so that you, the TIFA, can forgive it in exchange for your payment of $225,000.
How was the $225,000 figure?
They didn't want to get.
That was their proposal.
No, the initial proposal was like 90,000, then they came up to 100,000, and then we kept saying no.
Right.
And then Ron helped step in, and then what's her name, Rochelle Lento.
Yeah.
She knows me, so she's very upset because I wouldn't accept her offer. So yeah, but go ahead.
Yeah. So this has been going on since 2022. There's been a delay on. They've had to go through several different iterations with MISTA. They're finally approaching the closing with MISTA, and probably in May. So your next board meeting, there's going to be a number of resolutions and documents that I'm going to ask you to approve. And I'll give that all to you in advance, so you have them and can review them. And if you guys want to have a special meeting to ask questions about it, that would be fine as well. But that's kind of where we're at. So
And then, so the 225, when we get it, we have to create another bank account for it because we only can do what with it.
It's limited to certain HUD approved uses, which is generally going to be. I can get that all to you. Was part of our approval from HUD in Washington. I worked through. Linda. She's at the local HUD office, but she got approval out of headquarters in DC. So it was a very
It was a lot.
It's a lot coming down at the next meeting. I propose that's all we concentrate on the next meeting. We can't go through 5 and 6 different topics. But what he talking about right now.
Yeah. Well, so
We gotta get him on too, though.
so next week we have to hire him, so that we can.
Yeah.
That's why I'm saying. Yeah. So first we need to hire him.
The good news is this.
We already paying.
The good news on this Manchester piece is that the developer is gonna pay me when it closes.
Yeah.
You guys don't have to pay.
But this has been going on, and this is one of the reasons why we had issues with our last attorney, because he was not trying to help us, and he wanted us to take the $90,000 deal and just keep it
He
moving.
didn't understand.
And so, cause like, myself and other board members, like, we literally called her and had these conversations, and they told us, we don't do UDAG loans anymore, so I don't know what you wanna do with it. That's basically what they told us, so.
So they can't close without approval
Nope.
from us.
Correct.
And they've been trying to get it for a very long time.
Correct.
So,
What's the name of this place? Who's the owners?
It's like the Manchester Place Limited Dividend Housing.
Where is it at exactly? Which one is it?
It's the one behind, it's,
Manchester and Second.
it's a townhouse.
What was the second, that one?
Townhouse.
On the north side?
On the south
Yeah.
side.
No, on the north,
North side
North
of
side.
Manchester.
behind the strip mall.
Yeah, on the north side of Manchester.
Okay.
And the entrance is off Second.
Do you know what's the name of the company that owns it? Is it?
It's the same company.
It was a limited dividend housing association, which is, like a corporate entity that is developed to do a lot of low income and affordable.
But they sold it, they sold their business, they didn't sell the property.
Right.
And so it's a different group, but the way they did the sale, that it's still that same group that owns it.
Yeah.
If that makes sense to
They
you.
sold it to themselves.
Well, they sold it to another group, but the way they sold it, because if they would have sold it, they would have to pay the loan off. And they didn't want to pay the loan off. So we've been going through this for
So
years.
they bought the company
They bought the company
that owns the property.
that owns the
Right.
property, and then now this is a new group, basically trying to get.
Yes, sir. I just want to make sure we're not talking, I heard what you said, what the geography was. It's west of Woodward, north of Manchester,
Yes,
but not the one that's between Second and Third,
nope,
south of Manchester.
correct.
So there's one owner that owns the Gabriel. Oh, man, I can see.
Well,
this
what
getting-
if
No, that's
Fox used
what I'm
to,
talking about.
That's what I'm talking about. Fox.
Fox used
No,
to.
that's MHT, that's a different group.
That ain't Van Fox's group. Okay,
Where's Fox's from?
that's his property, that's south of,
So Fox got,
Manchester.
cause he got another thing coming down, and they got a bunch of money too. I don't know what's going on, but
Van Fox.
yeah, they got a bunch
I
of
just,
money. They
I
trying
just
to
want
get us on
to
that.
throw this out on what happened with Van Fox and them. Van Fox is all right with me. I just think some of these deals are really crazy. When, NSP2 was here, the neighborhood stabilization, program was here, we wound up not spending all of the money that we had due to us. And somehow HUD, what's the guy name down at HUD? Harlan?
Ed Harlan.
Edwin Harlan?
That's Mr.
That's Mr. Well, he was involved in the NSP2 program. And they wound up giving Van Fox and them almost $1.5 million. You know that architecture and crap you see out front there? The pylons and the big boulders and stuff? You talking about $80,000 a unit?
Yeah, give me one sec.
No, $80,000 a unit?
It is.
Okay.
I mean, but it's a side road, I got the same thing going on with this
I
stuff.
gotta be excused, people.
17 million.
We only did 55 minutes.
Is the project
We had 7 hours.
$84,711 per year.
All right, bro. I'll tell you.
711.
Well, we're about to adjourn, so.
Okay, I'll stick around, okay.
See?
Well, we have to stay on track though.
Unanimous vote.
Right. So, I don't think we got any public, comments.
So we got somebody in the
Any public comments?
No.
Okay.
You're good.
You
all right. Bishop said be quiet. You all right? I wish you knew what you got to say.
The chair doesn't, chair has no comments. Motion.
I'll move to adjourn the meeting until April. Actually, I want to say, because we might have a special meeting coming up to review the proposed educator.
Look, this is just a regular meeting.
And so I just
Support.
regular.
All those approved? Yeah, he said.
Oh, yeah.
Meeting adjourned.
So this is, meeting over with. Everybody want an email?
Yeah.
Yes,
No
yes,
hard copies, okay.
please.
Yeah.
No, ma'am, I got you. That's fine. I need, did you, just real quick, did you get the email?
Yeah.
Okay, you good.
Yeah.
Can you make sure that we